the Jake Giffin Podcast.
So what is the? I know we have the Second Amendment, right? It's a constitutional right to bear arms. I don't want to necessarily split hairs on whether we should have cannons or tanks. I think if you can afford it, you should be able to have a tank if you want it. I'm all in. I'm all in. Absolute Second Amendment deal. I think they did. Did they do an amendment to suggest that if you're a convicted felon that you don't have gun rights anymore, or is that just some law that they passed that said if you're
convicted? There is no amendment for that. I don't know if they're trying to make one, but there are state laws that say that. And
is that fine as far as we're constitutionally
as far
concerned?
as everyone's concerned, it's fine. But things always change. Like California got away with they had a ban on open carry for the longest time, and that was just overturned by the Supreme Court. So they're always trying to do they're always trying to limit it any way they can. There was even somebody who they submitted a bill. They were like, well, if we can't ban high capacity magazines, we're going to put a 1,000% tax on them. That was her solution. And it's which is absolutely insane, but it also kind of goes to show that taxes are a weapon of war. You can completely destroy someone's business or take away their property with it. But they want
if property is even a real thing, but we can talk.
Yeah, they always want to limit our gun rights and everything. And this is the funniest thing to me because I hear this all the time, right? Like the whole Joe Biden. Well, let's see your AR-15 go against our F-15s, right? And it's like what people don't understand is like if I'm out there with my F-15 and I'm a problem, with my AR-15, and I'm a problem for the government. They're not going to come in with an F-15 and blow up my house, because if they do that, they're blowing up my neighbors' houses too, and they're innocent, right? So
yeah, right.
Is that really how you want to, take care of collecting all the guns? And it creates a bunch of weird scenarios because you also have other people who are on the other side who are just like, oh, there was another school shooting. I don't care. You're not taking my guns. And it's like, okay, you can at least express that you have some empathy maybe for the fact that some people just died and maybe we should do something about that. And of course there's people in the middle, but it's you always have extremes on both sides, and people, they like to use that politically to take our guns away. But it's look at Venezuela.
I mean, if you're a constitutional absolutist, I don't know. I'm not putting that in your words. I don't know if you're an absolutist or, I happen to be a big fan of the Constitution. And I think that if it's a right to bear arms, isn't it a right to bear arms regardless of your financial or your background? Or, unless you're crazy. I guess we have to have some laws, right? If you're nutso.
Yeah. That's kind of the idea. Is that, that's the idea with the felony thing, right? Is oh, well, if you commit a crime, if you're a mass murderer, okay, you served your 50 years and you get out, we're not going to let you buy a gun after that, which, okay, arguably that makes sense. Then there's, okay, you sold weed to your next door neighbor, and you got 10 years for that, and you get out, oh, you can't own a gun anymore. And it's wait a minute.
Well, dude,
that was not a violent crime.
I'll do you one better. In the 90s, I did telemarketing in the 90s, in the early 90s, and I ended up doing almost 3 years federal time for telemarketing, and I can't own a gun.
Yeah, it's insane.
What kind of crazy talk is that?
Are you able to vote? Sometimes they take them away. Sometimes you get voting rights back after that.
I vote. I vote.
Okay. So
whether or not they count
I
it, that's another.
Talked to felons who are they don't know that they can vote. They have to go through a whole. Depending on, it's different in every state, but you have to go through a process to get that right back.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, full disclosure, I don't know if I have that right or not. I do. I vote, whether they count it or not. I figured. I think
they
dead
just
people
never
are
asked.
voting, and
Yeah.
So I figure if dead people can vote, I can vote.
Right. But what's interesting about that is when people make the argument that they shouldn't be able to vote, it's why are you worried that they're going to vote to legalize murder?
Right.
What's going?
And even if they do vote to legalize murder, is that ever going to get the most popular vote and pass? Right? Of course not. You're willing. Right. You can throw away your vote if you want. I want whatever. I want to be able to have
Right.
sex with mice. Like, okay, that's not going to ever be legal.
This is what's interesting too. Like, I've made the suggestion that every single ballot everywhere should have a none of the above option for every person, and every election should have just dissolve the whole government as yes or no option, right? And for that same reason, right? Because a lot of people say, well, that's crazy. We can't leave the office empty, or we can't just dissolve the government. And it's like, okay, well, then you'll probably never have a majority on there. But like, we're told, like, we're voting, we have a choice in the type of government that we have, but we never have the option to just say no. And if that option were there, I guarantee you those politicians are going to be that much more scared, and they're going to do what they promise, because they know there's no more, well, Kamala would have been better, or at least Kamala didn't win. It's like, yeah, but we all could have just said no to all of them. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So,
yeah.
like,
How funny would
it's
that
not
be?
such a crazy idea.
How funny would that be, actually, if on the ballot you had 6 candidates for president, and there was a none of the above box, and the none of the above box won? You'd be like, start over. Like,
What
we
are you
don't
gonna
want
do?
any of these
And
people.
yeah, and it's and to be completely honest, like, if a few offices were left empty, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be the end of the government. They'd still function. I mean, most of what the president does is, I mean, you've already got these agencies who could be regulated by Congress if there's no sitting president. You have he needs to sign the bills into law. Well, even if he vetoes them, they can have a supermajority vote to override the veto. So if they get that many votes on a bill, then they can still pass new laws even without a president. So it's really interesting to see, like, what would actually happen. There would be, I mean, that's probably what the government will be doing for the next 4 years, is trying to figure out how the hell to operate.
Yeah.
But good. Let them get stuck up with that stuff, and instead of trying to track down every little Joe who's got $2,000 in overdue taxes.
Yeah. Right. If you had a magic wand, how much of the government would you absolutely get rid of?
Oh man. At the federal level, all of it. At the state level, probably 90% of it.
So you would chunk everything down to basically state authority only.
Yeah.
What would you outsource to the feds?
So this is one thing I probably wouldn't do, is get rid of the federal constitution, because I know that does give additional rights that some states don't recognize. And I would even argue that there's probably some amendments we could add that would strengthen our rights as individuals against the government, protect us from their overreach.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's some good stuff in the U.S. Constitution that's good there for that. All of their agencies and everything, the FBI could be outsourced to either a private data firm or something like that that's sharing data between states. So if they're tracking some serial killer or whatever that's going between states, sure, they have a fingerprint database or something like that. It doesn't need to be an actual enforcement agency. It can be a public entity. It can be funded by the states that use it. Figure something out like that. But yeah, most of the stuff that they do, I hear this all the time, like, oh, without the federal government, we wouldn't have airports and all this. It's like, okay, yeah, but then when the government shuts down, all the flights get canceled. Everyone's grumpy because no one's getting paid. TSA is not getting paid. The pilots aren't getting paid. Air traffic control is not getting paid. Flights are canceled and delay. Why is that going through the federal government when, like, we're all buying the airline tickets? We're paying the airlines are paying the airports. Why don't the airports just pay the air traffic controllers and the pilots and everything? Like, it makes no sense. Like, why is it going all the way to Washington, D.C. and back to keep the thing going? So there's so many things of the government we can just completely get rid of. Especially, like, I mean, like, I don't even know how to bring up the Epstein files with this, but it's like they're tasked with all you have to do is hand over the damn documents,
right?
And they can't even get that right.
No, well, we all know why.
Yeah, but it's like what else aren't they doing that they should be doing?
And if we're going to and let's be objective with the Epstein files, because there is maybe a lot of people that were acquaintances with him or were on his plane or went places with him that weren't necessarily pedophiles or sex offenders, right? So maybe they're kind of gauging, well, if we just throw the whole list out there for everybody to see, they're automatically going to assume that everybody on there was a pedophile, and then the whole world is going to fall apart because some of them are going to be wrongfully
Right, but
accused or whatever.
that sounds again like excuses, right? Now we're protecting people so that we don't have to expose the criminals because we need to protect the innocent people. And it's like, okay, well, you could at least like, okay, so maybe you don't release the list of people who are on his plane and at his island or at a party with him or something else, but you can at least release like all of the testimonies of all the victims, like,
Fair enough.
because if
Yep.
somebody's in there, that's a little bit more than just like, oh, I ran into him at a party, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
Yeah, the
it's
testimonies of the victims would be ideal.
yeah, and that stuff's all blacked out. So it's they'll take one thing that like an argument that sounds good. Oh yeah, they'll buy that, and then they use that same argument to like cover the entire million pages of documents now.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, those million pages aren't just names of innocent people. There's other stuff in there.
Where are the
Um,
odds of that? Where are the odds of any of that coming out, do you think?
man, um, I say slim to none. I mean, there's still stuff on JFK that just came out
There's no
in the
way
last
that
year or
list
two.
comes out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's by the time it comes out, everyone's going to be dead, I'm sure.
Isn't that what they're hoping for? I mean, look, the Nancy Pelosi's and the Reeds and all these people who have been screwing the American people for now decades are never going to see justice for the crimes that they've committed, and they've committed a
Right.
lot of fraud and a lot of crimes. They're all going to die long before that. They're going to find out Nancy Pelosi and all these other guys and all these other people were absolutely reaming the American people for the entire time they were in office, and no justice will ever get done. That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, and they'll probably get it because I mean, they control the information.
But
Like
you
it,
might
like
you might
you
have
know,
it. You might have insulin in your bag, though.
yeah, right. It's. I mean, like think about it. If I created a Ponzi scheme, right? Oh, sure, they'd come after me. They'd go to the banks. The banks would snitch on me. They'd go to my customers. They'd snitch on me and everything else, right? But let's say I'm Nancy Pelosi. They come to me and I say, yeah, but I control, this and this. I have friends who control the FBI, and I can call someone up and say, hey, make this investigation stop, or else, such and such. So many people. Most likely, the theory is that everyone's got blackmail on them.
Oh, for sure.
So it's
Yeah.
it's like it's the swamp. It's not being drained.
Dude, you're going to go threaten Nancy Pelosi, and she's going to pull up a picture of you doing blow off some hooker's chest at a party one time, and your conversation is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's but I mean it's like look at and like in if that even made it public that they started an investigation, it would be over in a day. Just like the what was it last Saturday, everybody was talking about we're gonna I guess like Thursday, Friday leading up to Saturday, we're gonna protest taxes. Everyone go to the state capitals. This was all over social media. Everybody was making videos saying, I'm just not going to pay my taxes this year because of all the fraud and everything. All of our money's just disappearing. They're wasting all of it. We're not going to pay our taxes. The next day, we woke up and found out that we invaded Venezuela or captured the president, and everyone and that was the day everyone was supposed to be storming the capitals, and everyone just forgot about it. I haven't seen a single picture. I don't think anybody went to any state capital. It was just everybody forgot about it. It's a black hole, and nobody's hardly brought it back up since. So they would do the same thing, like, Pelosi's under investigation. Let's sweep that under the rug pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
come up with an
nuke a
emergency.
small island and see if we can get everybody's attention somewhere else.
Yeah, it's and they tried doing that with the island too. Like, oh, let's come up with something else we got to talk about. It's an emergency. Dollar's gonna crash.
Now, when we started this conversation, you kind of hinted at because I mentioned that you were maybe full libertarian. You said you were a small L libertarian. What is a small versus capital L libertarian?
So in the libertarian circle, pretty much it means big L means, proper noun, capital libertarian party. So you're a member of the party, you do all that stuff. Lowercase l is you believe in libertarian philosophy. That's really the main difference.
Mm.
Anarchism is kind of close to the libertarian philosophy, and there's a lot of anarchists in the Libertarian Party. So you hear people just kind of like that's the language that they talk, big L, small l. I
Mhm.
try not to wear labels. I'm not really associated with any groups.
Yeah.
But like I said, like labels, you ask anybody what capitalism is, socialism, communism, like everyone's got a different definition. So I don't like associating myself even with anarchist or anything else, just because assumptions are drawn, and no two people are identical. So
Yeah. Well, I totally get that. I mean, look, as soon as people labels help people put you in a nice clean box that they can.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm a Christian. I've been in the church for a long time. People try to call me a Calvinist, and they try to put me in a Calvinist box. I'm like a small C Calvinist. I guess that's how that would come out. But
There
it's
you go.
it's one of those things where we're trying, even in our conversation about government, we're talking about Trump. It's like you can be a fan of what he's doing and still be critical of some of the decisions he's making.
Right.
And I think that's some objectivity that we've lost in our society is we're so hardcore, one team or another, one left, one right, whatever, and we're so afraid to step on those sacred toes that, oh no, if you're a Donald Trump fan, you have to be a fan of everything he's doing. I'm like,
Right.
that guy went into a country and took somebody and his wife out of their house. That's something that I would have suggested was the job of the citizens of that country who didn't have the power or the authority or the guts or the whatever you want to say to do it, or maybe the power to do it. And that's where I'm a little like, okay, that's cool. If it was for the better good, maybe I'm okay with it. But
Yes.
um, so little L. All right, so not a full party member. I get that. That's like being a small C communist. You're like I like a communist ideas, but I'm not a member. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't have a card or a password or a secret
Right.
handshake.
Small A alcoholic. I don't go to meetings.
Small
Uh,
A, yeah. Yeah.
um,
So I just don't, I just don't go to meetings. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, no, but it's interesting, and I joke around with him all the time because I'm always like, it's a cult. But I say everything is a cult, but kind of like for the reason that you just mentioned, right? Like when you're in the Donald Trump cult, it's like Donald Trump everything. I've got the Donald Trump oven mitts,
Yeah.
like everything's Donald Trump. Everything he does is great. He can never do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And when he said in his first term, or I think it was before his first term, he said, I could walk down the street and shoot somebody and the people would still love me.
Mhm.
Like the people who would still love him for that, like you're in a cult. But like cult is not always, it's associated with like crazy groups of people doing crazy things. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But you should realize when you are in them and like make sure that you're not like acting without your own rational thought, right? Like because we like once we're in these situations, we tend to behave like the people around us without even recognizing it. We start picking up habits. We might say certain things as a joke, and then the next thing you know, we're acting on them because we haven't picked up that we've actually trained our brains to think that way. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting neuroscience that goes into the whole thing too. But yeah, like we all need to like constantly criticize ourselves and our leaders to like, are we doing the right thing? Are they doing the right thing? Do we need somebody else? Even if I like the guy, like Ron Paul was one of the guys who kind of got me into like understanding a little bit the economics, I guess the Austrian economics
Mhm.
and some of this other stuff. Like he really got me interested in some of this stuff, the constitutionalism and all this. And he said some stuff that I don't agree with. I don't have to hate him for it, right? But it's like I
Right.
don't have to agree with every single little thing that he says. But it's like some people are just like, oh, I don't know much, and so therefore the guy who I like, whatever he says, is the belief that I'm going to adopt without like processing it as it's coming in.
Yeah. Well, that is pretty easy. Like, if you don't want to study it on your own or get all
Right.
too deep and philosophical about it, you just go, hey man, that guy seems like a cool enough guy. I'll just believe what he's believing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you got to filter that. Otherwise, it's the whole, what does it say, orange man bad thing, right? Like,
Yeah, you gotta warn some-
yeah, think what's going on, and it's not always easy, but it's like, man, if you look out in the world, how many people are just getting shafted? Everything, man. I mean, people are hearing about this 50-year mortgage, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea. It'll lower my payments." And it's like,
No way.
it's not gonna. First of all, this is how the banks see you when you walk in the door. How much can you afford every month? So your payments aren't going down. Your payments are staying exactly the same. If anything, the loan amount goes up. But because you're already at 30 years, to stretch to 50 years, you're getting an extra $20,000, $30,000 maybe, and the bank's getting an extra 500,000 when you pay them back.
Yeah.
Like, it's the numbers are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But because somebody likes, like, oh, my favorite politician said, this whole 50-year mortgage thing might be a good thing. Oh, I guess that's a good thing. Yeah, sure, go get one. And next thing you know, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Why did I get that? You start doing the math like halfway down the line. How stupid was I? And it's like, well, you trusted someone with some advice, and you didn't check and verify. You didn't bother to do the math or learn what someone was trying to sell you. You have to do that. No matter how much you trust the person, you have to do that.
Dude, I mean, 30-year mortgages was a long time, but at least you can see the end of the tunnel, right? Like, if
Mhm.
you started when you were 30, you're going to own that house by the time you're 60, unless you pay it off early. All right. Look, I mean, I'm 60, but maybe I can give the house to my kids. If you're
Yeah.
30 and you got a 50-year mortgage, you're not owning anything. You're basically just paying a very expensive rental.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you die, they'll repossess it for
And
or
who?
the county will take it for unpaid taxes.
Oh my gosh! Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole
It's
different.
well, and what's interesting, I actually tell people to use this, like, this ladder method, because a lot of people think like, oh, okay, a 30-year mortgage, like, yeah, I can buy a $200,000-$300,000 house, which is already hard to find. Forget about that. Find $100,000 piece of shit that's falling apart, right?
Mhm.
Get a 15-year loan or a 10-year loan, or get a 15 and pay it off in 10. And you're going to save so much money, and you're going to have this house. And while you're living in it, you're probably going to fix up some little things. Then you can sell it. You're probably not going to make a huge profit on it, but you can sell it. And now you have $100,000 in cash to use as a down payment on a $200,000-$300,000 house. And if you follow this pattern, and you do it 3 times, right? 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. At the end of the 30 years, you're going to be living in a really nice house, and you're going to have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
versus what the small house that you would have got if you just jumped right into the 30-year mortgage. But people want that instant gratification, so it's like, oh, I don't want to live in that abandoned looking piece of shit. Like, what will my friends think of me? And it's like, well, what are they going to think of you in 30 years when you're still living in your same house that's falling apart and you're falling behind on your mortgage, versus everything's paid off, you have a house you can leave to your kids, everything's great. You're now not making payments, so you can save that directly towards your kids' college fund or whatever you want to do. Like, like, your options are so much nicer if you do something like that. You just got to, uh, uh, I want to say suffer a little bit. What do they call it? Sacrifice. Drawing a
Yeah.
blank here.
Well, yeah. It's
Yeah,
sacrifice, delayed gratification.
yeah. It really does do so much for you, and people just aren't. They're. I mean, they don't teach us that in school. So how can you blame people for not knowing it, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of things they don't teach you in school. It's Constitution being one of them.